It took 50 levels to craft this, but was it worth it? Let's take a look. So today we are going to be crafting one of the new ancient helms. So this was added as part of the recent update in Diablo Immortal, and this is exactly what we're going to be crafting today. So underneath the item crafting at Charzy in Westmarch, you actually have the option now to craft the ancient legendary. So when you click on this, there are 5 options for these helms. So I'm going to read through all of them and then show you which one we're crafting. And it says that I don't have enough materials, but I do have the materials up here, so I'm not sure why that is. Okay, it's because of the difficulty, but I'm not on that difficulty, so I'm not sure what is going on with that. Let me see. Okay, I can change the difficulty here. There we go. So let's read through the description for each of these. So this is going to give 6,000. No, it's not. Oh my god, can I even get my words right today? This is going to give 2,659 combat rating, 640 fortitude, 640 vitality, 640 willpower, and 642 intelligence. The magic attributes are damage while moving is increased by 6%, beneficial effect duration increased by 4.5%, critical hit chance increased by 3%, and critical hit damage increased by 4.5%. Then we have the Unveiled Secrets. With this one, same combat rating and same attributes, but the magic attributes damage is increased 6% when attacking enemies from behind. Accuracy rating is increased by 9%, damage increased 6% to enemies below 30% life, and damage done to players increased by 1.5%. First Strike, so again it has the same attributes and the same combat rating, but with this one, your primary attack has a 5% chance to 25% during ultimate to trigger Shivering Breath when it hits an enemy. Primary attacks have an 8% chance to explode on hit, dealing 100% damage to nearby enemies. Attack speed is increased by 3% and primary attack damage is increased by 4.5%. We have Eager Triggers Sight next. Again, the same attributes and same combat rating. Picking up a health globe has a 24% chance to reset a skill on cooldown. Attack speed is increased by 3%, skill cooldown is reduced by 3%, and skill damage is increased by 3%. And lastly, we have Grave Runner. So this one has the Endure magic, so evasion rating is increased by 0.8% for every nearby enemy up to a maximum of 8%. Evading an attack grants you a shield equal to 5% of your maximum life for 5 seconds, cannot occur more often than once every 12 seconds. Damage taken from players reduced by 1.5% and loss of control duration reduced by 6%. So I just have enough materials to craft one of these. So this is the ancient artifact, and myself and GameZone discussed this in our video recently. I'll link that in the caption to this video about how this isn't really that beneficial. So I've only just got the materials for this on Monday, and I am only 43 levels away from the next major paragon, so this is soon going to be obsolete. I'm not going to need to use it soon. I'll have items with higher combat rating, etc. So it is a little bit disappointing that it is such a long process to actually gain the materials for this. I think I'm going to go for the Horde Splitter's Spirit Helm, because this one has the critical hit damage and the critical hit chance as well. So we're going to craft this now. And I didn't find any of these. Some people have been lucky enough to actually find these helms, but I have not had that. And I don't know if you can actually enchant these as well. Let's have a look. So let's go to enchant down here. So you can enchant these. One of the magic attributes I think is already... Okay, so the damage while moving is increased by 6%. That you cannot change, but you can actually change the other ones on here. So if you want to try and re-roll for the 4% critical hit chance, you can do that. Or if you want to re-roll for the critical hit damage, I don't think that is one of the options to re-roll for. So if I was to re-roll on this, I would literally just be re-rolling it for the hope of that higher critical hit chance of 4%. So I'd want to keep the beneficial effect duration. I want to keep the critical hit damage. Beneficial effect duration is again not one of the ones that you can actually re-roll on, or it probably is. Let me just change. I need to just change the thing. No, so you can't actually re-roll to gain either of those. It's only critical hit chance that you could potentially increase on, but this might take a lot of rolls. However, this is what I would want to get from it, so just to make the gear even more beneficial. So we're going to attempt to enchant this. This could go horribly wrong. I'm probably going to have to do it several times. So critical hit chance, that's 2%. So we'll keep the attribute. We're going to keep rolling on this to see if we can get, there we go, 4%. That was really lucky in the second roll. So critical hit chance increased by 4%. We'll replace that attribute. And that's made this even more powerful. And we've now got this helm. So we can equip this and we can transfer the essence from Autumnal Crest. There's quite a big difference here in the combat rating, as you can see. However, the attributes aren't that great because I'm going to be taking a loss on the attributes. So I'm going to be taking a drop in my fortitude, which is obviously armor and armor penetration. Vitality, I'm not that interested in anyway, but willpower is the next decent one, and that is potency. So there is like swings and roundabouts with it. There are some benefits and some not so good points to it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test out the helm that I have equipped already. The helm that I'm using has the Lightning Nova attack speed increase from that, and it has 4% critical hit chance. Frostfield obviously isn't active. I'm going to test my damage on the dummy, and I'm going to test it with the original helm, and we're going to test it with the new Ancient Legendary and see if it's actually beneficial, if it's going to give me more damage or not. Let's go test that now. So I'm going to be doing a simple 30-second test. I've just got my farming build on, but we might as well just test this as this is what I'm using. And as I said, we're going to do 30 seconds for each of them. As I've explained many times before, I'm standing this close to the mannequin or the dummy, whatever you want to call it, because my sprite spark does not register unless you are literally right against the target. That is how that skill works, unfortunately. So I need to stand super close to my target to ensure that that is tracking the damage as well. And we'll do 30 seconds for each of these and see if there's going to be much of an increase in the damage from the new helm, from the Ancient Legendary. So we've got 30 seconds, 155 million damage in 30 seconds and 5.1 million per second. So there's not a huge, not a crazy amount of damage, not a bad amount of damage either. You can see my legendary gems are still triggering, so I'm going to just come out of here and before we equip this helm, and we're going to obviously inherit the essence so that we get the same effect. And you can see it has increased a few areas on my build. I'm going to just wait a few seconds before we actually enter to test this again so that we do get the benefit of my legendary gems as well. And you can see it says Horde Splitter's Spirit. And when you check here, it does still have the legendary essence from the legendary item that I swapped it, but you can see it is actually showing the visual for the Ancient Legendary item as well. So my gems should be ready to go again now, and you can see I've got the all of my warband buffs ready and active to go as well. So we're going to do that 30-second test again and see if we get any increase from this now. It would be nice to see that there is an increase because it's always good to have something that's higher combat rating. If it doesn't actually give me better damage, at least it might be beneficial for challenge rifts for having that higher combat rating gear, as that can sometimes be really beneficial compared to obviously having lower combat rating gear, which means you will struggle more in those challenge rifts. And we are coming up to 30 seconds now very, very quickly. So in 30 seconds, we've got 161 million damage. So there's a very slight increase there, 5.3 million damage per second. So we've got 0.2 million more damage from this helm per second. And we've got 6 million damage more in a 30-second burst. So in theory, we'll have about 12 million damage more in a minute. So it is actually an okay helm. I wouldn't personally say this is groundbreaking. It's not as amazing as you would hope it would be for something that takes so long to craft, for something that is so hard to find in game. I don't really think it's worth it. I think they need to work on the actual attributes. I think the attributes should be higher because, as I said, the fact that you've got 4 attributes, that's great, but they are always going to be lower than if you have 3 attributes, or obviously if you have 2 attributes, which can be crazy amount of increase that you get on those areas. So for me, is it worth it? Probably not. I wouldn't say so. The only thing I'm probably going to use this for is challenge rifts, as I said, for that increase in combat rating. This isn't my highest combat rating build, but obviously it is quite a significant amount more than the Autumnal Crest that I was using. So yeah, it's 70 combat rating more, which is quite a lot in the grand scheme of things in game. But at the end of the day, like I said, the amount of materials you have to collect and the amount of time it takes to collect those materials, I personally don't think it's worth it. Let me know in the comments if you found any of these ancient helms, if you have crafted any of them. I'd be interested in know your thoughts on these, if you've tested it out already or not. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Official Diablo Partner.